Hey there, everyone. This is Danny. Welcome to my brand new channel on YouTube, Flagship Cards. Really appreciate you joining me today. This channel is going to be devoted to looking at vintage cards, ultra modern cards. My eldest son will be joining us from time to time. I myself am a teacher, so I am kind of wired to be a storyteller. So what I'll be doing is sharing a lot of my cards, talking about how I acquired them and what my collection looks like, as well as the stories behind the cards, which is what I really enjoy sharing. I believe baseball cards for my son and I are just a truly nostalgic place to hang together and talk about when I collected cards with my dad, and it's just a really exciting time to be a collector. We came into the hobby back in 2020, like a lot of people. I collected as a kid, going back into the early 80s in San Diego, so I have been a lifelong San Diego Padre fan, but my collection really took a 35-year break from being active. So this first episode, I wanted to just give a little bit of a flavor of what I'm trying to do with the channel, show a little bit of our memorabilia, some of our cards, and also just sort of practice the concept of sharing some cards and telling a story at the same time. So this first episode is called The Duke and My Dad. So just as a quick preface, and then I'll show you some of the items that go with the story. Duke Snider was obviously one of the Brooklyn Dodger greats. And he's from Los Angeles originally, and my father originally was from LA, and my dad grew up in the 50s, and Duke Snider was his favorite player growing up. And then there's all sorts of odd similarities, kind of a 6 degrees of separation of Duke Snider between my dad, myself, and Duke Snider. So I was born in the same town where Duke Snider was born. He went to the same high school as my dad. My dad was a few years younger. Duke Snider was my dad's favorite player. And then what was really interesting was as I became a young teenager in the later 80s, growing up here in Southern California, Duke Snider, as a obviously retired baseball player, and I think he got into insurance, he lived fairly close to where my family lived. And so I actually got up the courage one Christmas and just went over and knocked on his door and asked for him to sign a baseball and to talk about some of his experiences. And he was the coolest guy. This was just unannounced, some random kid showing up at his door. He signed a baseball for my dad, which I gave to my dad for Christmas. And he talked to me for about 15-20 minutes out at the front of his house, and really neat guy. And he's long gone now, but I just feel there's this sort of kinship that I have with him because he was my dad's favorite player. And then all these years later, he ended up living in the same town as my family in the late 80s. So pretty cool. So I do have some memorabilia that I want to show you. Let me go ahead and turn things around, and hopefully you get some enjoyment out of this as I do. And please let me know if you have any questions, and I'll go ahead and turn things around right now. Okay, So what I wanted to show you here tonight are some of the pieces that I have from this kind of Duke Snider / my dad tribute. So this first thing here in front of the camera, which is really tough to fit in completely, is a framed issue of Sports Illustrated with Duke Snider on the cover. Says Duke Snider, The Sluggers in full color, 25 cents. I got this not too long ago. It's in really rough condition, but I love this because if you can see there at the top of the screen, the date of publication for this issue of Sports Illustrated is June 27th, 1955. And I just felt like this was just such a cool piece because, again, he was my dad's favorite player. And June 27th, 1955 is literally 2 weeks after my dad's high school graduation from high school in 1955. So I feel like there's some, again, just kind of a cool little connection. I thought once I knew that, I just wanted to buy just an issue of this version of SI with Duke Snider on the cover. There's also a really cool article inside about Duke Snider and some of the other sluggers of the day. So I've got that framed, and that's part of our kind of card room, card loft that we're building up here. So that's the big piece. And then as far as some of the cards, I have 2 cards that are kind of special to the to my collection, and here they are. The first is and I apologize for any lighting issues. I will get better at this as I make more content. But here you can see, hopefully that's fairly decent color and light there. So here what we've got is a PSA 2 Duke Snider 1955 Topps. Fairly recent slab, as you can see. 6.2. And this is a really nice copy. There is, if you look very closely, I don't know if you can even see it there in the light, probably not. But there is a crease that's fairly slight, but it goes all the way across, kind of goes through his forehead, through the bottom of the red diamond of the Dodgers. So that upper third of the card, which makes it a 2. But other than that, I mean, this card is awesome. It has really nice corners, really good color. The crease is, you have to really get in there with a light to see it. But really, really nice. And I thought, you know what, I've got to get this 1955 because, again, it matches up with the issue of SI, and it's the year my dad graduated high school. So there's the 1955 Topps Duke Snider PSA 2. So let me go ahead and set that back there. Hopefully this doesn't just collapse on us here. Actually, let's try this. There we go. And then the second card I want to show you, also of Duke Snider, is a Upper Deck card that is autographed. It's an on-card auto of Duke Snider, and I just thought it was cool. I mean, I have a few cards that I have autographed from Duke Snider over the years, so I do have other ones, but this one I just felt like kind of gave me the nostalgic vibes of, Duke Snider in the 50s. This is the Upper Deck Legends of Flatbush on-card auto with the game-used bat. You can see here on the back. Upper Deck made some really cool autographed memorabilia pieces. Here it is, so you can see it's out of 250. And I picked this up fairly recently for a pretty good price, very decent. and I kind of matched this up with the 55 Topps and the issue of Sports Illustrated, and it just gives a nice little kind of spotlight to Duke Snider and the little tribute I have for my dad, who passed about 5 years ago, and he was, really loved the Brooklyn Dodgers, and then become the LA Dodgers, and Duke Snider was his guy. So anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the short little intro video. We plan to bring you all sorts of fun content, and most of the videos will be between 5 and 10 minutes long. I hope to have a really active involvement with the sports card collecting community. I'm, for the most part, a collector. I sell a tiny bit on eBay, but just to accumulate more funds for my budget to buy more cards. So I'm focused primarily on vintage. The more and more I get into, get into card collecting. And my eldest son, as I mentioned, he is a big ultra-modern guy. So together we'll have a really wide range of things to share with you. But I've been definitely inspired to begin this channel with, aside from my son and I, as a fun way to connect. There's just such a really awesome YouTube collecting community that I've been inspired by. I've been a lurker watching you guys for probably a year and a half now, and I just think there's so many cool people to meet and emulate here on YouTube. So thank you all for making great content, and I hope to be a part of that community for a long time. So again, thanks for joining me for episode number 1, The Duke and my dad, and hope to see you soon for episode number 2. All right, take care.